A little mini garden tour here. I've got some starts going on here, some epic fails on the marigold side of things, and we got some leeks going and whatever else is growing in there, and nasturtium and some salad mix greens. Over here we've got black raspberries. First harvest was already done, so now we cut away all the primocane from last year, which fruited this year, and now all we've got growing is the new primocane that will fruit next year. So we'll see how that looks later. We hear a lot of complaining and troubles with fails. Well, this was supposed to be a salad. Mixed greens, all lush, with sugar snap peas on the outside. I got a couple sugar snap peas on the outside, but not as many as I wanted. So this whole thing is an epic fail, but good experience. We'll figure it out next year. And then this bed is going to be the garlic bed for November. I'll plant all my garlic in here for next year's June harvest. This is our wisteria. We planted one for each of our Mastiff boys that have since passed. And this is now almost 5 years old, 6 years old now. Roses and some other medicinals. Over here is our strawberry patch. And oddly enough, we are getting another harvest of strawberries out of this, which is really odd, but that's good. That means they're happy. And all of this growth in the corner is all brand new in the last several weeks, so as planned it will take over this entire area here and be a really cool strawberry patch. This was an more of a science project. I didn't plant these. These just showed up in the planter from last year, and they decided to go gangbusters in there. So I moved them to this corner where I culled them down to 9 vines, and then those 9 vines are going to get trained against the trellis and run in both directions as long as they want to. Last year, out of that species of tomato, which is Sweet 100s, I had some vines that were 14 feet long and created quite the mess. But I didn't have fruit sets like this last year. So that speaks to the robustness of the plants that decided to grow themselves. So I moved them to this spot, and this is where they are now flourishing. Our English lavender, and another failed experiment. This is a plum tree that just is not doing well in this corner. I think it's probably because it gets too much heat. This is a Korean pear. Underneath that we've got yarrow and spring onions, along with an English lavender. This yarrow actually populated this bed near entirely in just one season. Bell peppers. I think these are the yellows. Basil, and then these are the orange. And then against the cattle panel we have the Sugar Rush, which look a lot like the Sweet 100s and Rapunzels, but the fruit is a bit more oblong, at least from what I can tell right now. So that's interesting. Then we got some gypsy peppers growing here in the middle of the cattle panel. And then over here on the sunsetting side of it, we've got lilac, which seem to be really disease prone. I don't know if it's the species or what, but they are struggling. And then this is our red bells. More basil. I plant it with all of my tomato plants, along with sweet alyssum, that brings in the parasitic wasps and helps control your hornworm population if you ever get one. I have myself not seen one yet this summer. I'm quite surprised. But again, the fruit sets on these are just incredible. And this little dude here, double fruit set, ran out to another vine, which then threw more fruit sets out. So I actually topped that off. I don't want that to go any further. I want the growth to go up and create more vines up here and in the middle, so that I can continue to have tomato growth in succession without actually doing succession planting. That is an Asian pear. And then in the back here we've got 2 raspberry bushes. This is our diseased Honeycrisp. It's really struggling this year. That one back there as well, another Honeycrisp. This is a Sweet 16 apple, again with more yarrow, onion, and I'm protecting this one from the sun. This plant is really struggling, and just in the last 4 days we've got all this new growth, so we're going to continue to shade that for a while. These are our ornamentals, and back over there is where we started. And then this bed here is just kind of a let it go and see what it does kind of bed. I've got catnip here for mosquito control and pollinators. These are sweet potatoes. Underneath here I also have some ginger, hopefully going to be sprouting at some point. That's another rose bush that we're climbing to fill in the trellis to help provide light blockage so that weeds like that don't grow through the trellis anymore. And then here we've got 2 what seem to be dwarf eggplant compared to the standard eggplant at this point. But these are kind of cool. These are fairy tales. And they get to be, I think that one right there is about ready to go. Oddly enough, about 4 inches long and 2 inches or so in diameter. And then over here, that's all potato, by the way, and then rosemary in the back. And then over here is my tomato patch. All of this on the outside here was the same as the tub that I put in the corner. All of this grew by itself. It populated by itself. I didn't do anything. So I had so many vines in here at the beginning of the summer that I actually culled them down to this and then started origamiing them up poles. And then I have succession starters here that once this one fruits out, because I topped it, they'll start and they'll climb up the same trellis, and I'll just keep it going until I can't go anymore. And we've got dill interplanted in here, which I did not plant. That is all pollination from last year's dill that was planted in a completely different bed. These are my Sweet 100s from last year that all populated. This particular vine is really prolific. We've got a double as the first fruit set right here, and then almost every foot or less we have another fruit set, and it just kept going and going and going. And then down here it moves over to this section and then up this pole. So again, I've got all these starters down here that are growing naturally by themselves. I didn't plant them. It's just letting the plant do what it does, and each of those will be the successor to the ones that fruit out and eventually are done. So I've had a few failures in my garden this year, but I would have to say that these tomato plants are by far my best success. And then these little dudes here are habaneros. I accidentally got the 350,000 Scoville ones. That's that guy right there. He's gonna stay there. I'm not gonna touch him. And then these guys, these are the regular habaneros, which, you know, aren't as spicy, but because they're right next to each other, I'm sure they'll get kicked up a bit. And back here we've got 2 cayenne pepper plants, basil, sweet alyssum, and then we get into these guys, which are already about 8 feet long, with all their twists and turns and everything. But these are black cherries, and they grow in similar fruit sets to the others in that multiple string, that pearl configuration. And I've never grown tomato plants that had leaves, you know, this big, but these guys are amazing, and they're doing really well. All of the new vine growth is really healthy and thick, but it didn't fruit as much vine to vine like the ones in the back did. So I'm hopeful that I can get some new starts on these two, which there don't seem to be any growing, so that I can do the succession plan with that too. And then we've got yellow pear here, and these are kind of funky. And lots of new growth and succession plants coming for those. And I planted everything in pairs this year. These are heirloom Black Cherokee, and I've gotten a few, and I can't remember what the name or the term is, but the blossoms actually get pulled together and create a tomato that actually has the double blossom, or a funky size like these. And they are really interesting to look at. I've been watching them grow, and you can see distinctly the 2 different tomato sets there that have grown in one skin. Typically you'll get a zipper like that, if it's not going to be a perfectly round one like the other ones here. And we got some oregano that's going to flower finally. Be able to free that space up for something else. Here are the watermelon cherry tomatoes, and these will ultimately end up looking like that. And each of these vines are growing very thick, and I've actually started training one onto another pole there, right here. And then I've got a succession vine here that I'll pull out into this open space here, and then just continue succession planting. This is a poblano. He's all by himself. He's kind of lonely, so I put him with a bunch of jalapenos. Another oregano. I need that to hurry up and flower so I can get the coriander seeds out of it. And then just a bunch of jalapenos with basil going to flower. No thank you. No thank you. No thank you. No thank you. We don't want you to go to flower. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to cut that way back. And then back over here by the Cherokee Purples, we've got a plant that was struggling. I just harvested all the fruit off of it because it's really spindly, and I want it to look more like this guy and this guy that's right next to it. But these are all banana peppers. And that is our nectarine tree that was really diseased earlier on in the season, so we pulled all the fruit off of it and then gave it a good hard culling, and yeah, it liked that. It came back pretty strong. So that should overwinter pretty well. And that's it. Thanks for joining.